Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mix with Daniel. If you haven't seen the last episode, you should maybe watch it now because we recorded a jazz band and I explained the microphone setup. And I promised we will come back and listen into all those microphones. We listen the mix. I'll show you what I did and we will hear what was good and what was not good. So let's go. This is the mix. Let's quickly hear the rough mix from the recording. And once more the mix. So now let's dive into the session. You might remember for the overhead we had vintage Neumann M49 beautiful tube microphones. We also had some ribbon microphones that the drummer brought in, and I said that basically you could record a good jazz drum with just 2 good overhead microphones and 1 bass drum microphones. And although I also used the spot mics to get more definition, let's quickly hear how it would sound if we solo the bass drum and the M49s on the drum. And as you see, that would work actually. Let's see how the drum sounds with all microphones engaged. And as you clearly can hear, I didn't use the spot mics a lot. Little bit snare, little bit toms, but the main sound is coming from the M49. Let's compare the M49 to the ribbon microphone. And for that purpose, let's actually just use the mics without any processing. So that would be the M49. And here comes the ribbon microphone. Once more the M49. And as you can hear, both sound good. You could use both. I choose the M49 in the mix because it sounds a little bit more natural. The cymbal have a little bit more that magic top end that I like, and there is more sense of room and dimension on the M49. Let's quickly hear those 2 mics on another spot. Let's first hear the M49 and then I will switch between 49s and ribbons. You will hear it. The darker sound is with the ribbon. We start with the M49. Yeah, and moreover, if cymbals are played like this, you obviously hear the quality of the Neumann M49 which I mean, it's just a beautiful vintage microphone, and there is a reason why it's so expensive. I really love it for jazz overhead. It's really a great microphone. Let's quickly see what I did to the microphone. So M49 without anything we heard, and now with the processing. And unprocessed. Processed. And what did we do to get that sound? Actually, the trim plugin is just because the left and right balance of the microphones is not totally right because of the differences in tube. One mic is slightly more expensive. Then there is a little bit of digital EQ. I will show you this later, but those were ringing frequencies that I didn't like. We reduced some of the mids, but that's all we did digital. We went a little bit into a Lexicon 960 reverb, and all the rest happens analog. Actually, not even that much was done to it. There's a little bit KDAG EQ to open up the cymbals. There is a null Siemens EQ, and the Siemens EQ, they have really nice trebles. Everything sounds a little bit more smooth. It's actually just one step of highs and one step of bass. And then there is a Urai 1178 compressor, and that's all. Let's hear the difference again. Very nice. And that's exactly the openness and the smooth sound that you need, so that the drum still sounds great once it actually is together with the entire band. Because as we are recording everybody together in one room, that drum will be on all mics at the same time, and then you will lose a little bit of the nice definition. Let's quickly jump to the bass drum. What do we have? Slide EQ. We removed some mids. We added a little bit of bass in the digital domain, and then again all the rest was done analog, but basically it's only a KDAG equalizer to give a little bit more size. The drummer, Jeff Ballard, he actually likes it if the bass drum sounds big, and because he plays it so well, me too as an engineer, I like it to really make it big. Let's quickly hear it. Yeah, and you hear a lot more bass. In this context, it's good. In maybe other contexts, it would be too much bass. I mean, this has just to be done by taste. Let's move on. Let's quickly hear the bass. And here we have some little bit processing to get the bass under control. We have this here is an automated EQ that is not doing anything here. We give a little bit of clarity, but just not on all parts of every song. That's why I do this digital. Digital plugins are great because you can automate them. And so on. Yeah, whenever we needed some more clarity, we do it with that thing here. And then if we don't need the clarity, we automate it back to 0. The rest is done analog, a little KDAG EQ again, and we have this great Rock Ripple compressor Comp 1. It's a German tube design, and it's really amazing for the bass. Let's quickly hear the difference. We have the processed bass with analog equipment, and then just how the microphone sounds. here it's maybe important to say that in solo mode, many frequencies that we pushed would not be necessary. However, in the band context mode, you actually need this clarity. Let's quickly hear that. Let's hear the same spot with the bass unprocessed. That is not in sync because the unprocessed bass is basically digital and the other thing is analog, so there is a delay, but just to show you that you are not able to follow the tones, while if we hear it processed, then you can hear all the tones. And as I explained in other tutorials already, that's the job of the mixing engineer. Everything that was played at any given time needs to be heard on two speakers. And if many musicians are playing together, and if you don't mix it, and if you don't optimize the dynamic range and the spectral balance, you're not able to hear everything. And then the mix is not good. You need to hear everything. Let's go on. Marimba phone or vibraphone, here it's vibes. What do we have? First of all, we have a lot of drums. That's what you have if you record all musicians in one room. We had those twin microphones. They sound like this. And we had the RA20s, as you remember. The RA20s were very close at the vibe, so that we have a little bit more control. Oh, let's hear that. And all together. And if you compare it to how it sounded in the rough mix, let's quickly listen. And in the mix. And as you can see, here is nothing done with plugin. It's all analog magic here. We have the nice KDEC EQ. However, then what is very special, we don't compress the vibe directly, but we parallel process it. So we send it over a bus out. And I think all we do for parallel processing is again those nice Siemens equalizer. We give it some mids only, and we use the sound of the treble of the Siemens. And then it goes through the W-Fern compressor, which I like a lot to give some warmth, to take out a little bit those transients, because we don't need those transients that a vibraphone has on a recording. And so the parallel thing is blended in, and that actually, I think, sounded pretty good. Let's hear everything. Let's hear the part with the overheads again. So at the end, I think it's a good example of how it can sound if you record every musician in one room. It sounds big, it sounds organic, and it sounds natural. And in the next lesson, I show you the difference about